Welcome everybody to the third tribal council of Spellbound Survivor, or should I say, your third tribal council of a Spellbound Survivor 3 for 3. I love seeing us talk. Y'all love coming here. Clearly, I'm flattered. I'm touched. Clearly, Karen is not. But let's get right into questions. So Karen, actually, since you seem very enthusiastic, we'll go with you first. You guys, this is obviously the third tribal council you guys attended in a row. But as the game gets on, there's less people. There are less people to talk to. Means your attention isn't as divided, and you could talk to them more. But on the other hand, you may all know your priorities and who you can trust at this point. And it's just a matter of keeping your allies in. So, do you think voting people off becomes easier or harder now?
Well, in case anyone wasn't aware, this is our third tribal council. I don't know if you've mentioned that, but this is our third time coming here in a row.
Thanks for keeping count. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's hard to lose count on that. It never gets easier. Like, not only do the bonds get stronger, the bonds between everyone get stronger. And then it's really weighing out those dynamics and who has the strongest bond with who. And it's not just about the bonds, but you think about the different aspects of strength, and you got to think long game too. And going forward, what's going to be your strongest chance to make it? And yeah, it doesn't get easier.
All right, but well, Karen actually mentioned multiple different aspects of strength, and from how I interpreted it, I actually was coming in here thinking that was the theme: the strength of relationships, the strength and the trust, and how solid you feel as though you are with your allies, but the strength and challenges as well, because we're getting to a point where we're starting to get a little bit more dire. There's less places to hide at this point. So Pete, what's more important to you at this point? Is it strength and challenges or strength and trust? Because both are valuable, both are assets at this point, but eventually at some point some people are going to have to physically make a choice. Do I vote this person off to keep the tribe strong, or do I vote this person off to keep the numbers?
Honestly, I'm so glad you asked me this, because I had a whole way of answering it in my head. Wait, what was the question? Okay, yeah. So strength and challenges, or strength in relationships. I mean, ideally you try to find someone who, like, I guess fails at that both of those criteria, and you vote that person out. But I think we already maybe did that. And we're having to play the game so many steps ahead in our strategy, in our what we're thinking, and the other tribe hasn't even started having to really test their game, and it's so annoying. It's like, I mean, throw a challenge once in a while, be iconic, make a move.
Aren't y'all sick of each other? Sorry to chime in.
I know they have to hate somebody over there, so it's I guess you kind of just whatever paranoias and delusions in your head, whatever will silence those the most, whatever will make you feel the most calm. Like, if you think a swap will happen next, you try to set yourself up for that. Who, do you think will be helpful in that? Or if we're just going to keep, losing challenges until there's two of us left, who's the strongest in challenge? I guess it just matters from person to person. And yeah, I guess the vote will just be a manifestation of that.
Appealing to who's on your tribe, can be the difference between you guys being Luzon and you guys being Matt Singh. You don't know. Any one decision could come with a multitude of consequences. But also thinking long ahead enough means that you have the foresight to see who's going to be dangerous, who is going to be a threat to my game. But for very odd, considering the odd circumstances you guys are here in the tribe right now, it may be very hard to gauge who actually is a threat, because you guys have only had each other to converse with, and there's not many relationships, or less relationships, the more the numbers wither down for you to have to take into consideration. Is this move possible right now with the number of people right here? This composition of this tribe, the group's only going to get smaller, and after this is going to go down to 5. You guys are going to be very vulnerable, a 20% chance of getting sent home. But so Tanner, do you think there are threats on this tribe? And if you do think they're threats, you don't need to say who, but how do you make sure you're not a threat?
I think I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying not to be too strong to where they become scared of me and they want to get rid of me, like just like that. And I think if there's like threats, it depends like how they vote and how they do in challenges. If a person becomes too strong, they become scared of that person. So and they want to vote them out. So
The biggest hazards in this game are not only people who excel in a multitude of different areas, but are directly putting your game in jeopardy, directly putting you in their own line of fire. And with very few people here, the attention, like I mentioned earlier with Karen's question, the attention is not as divided as it is. Technically more time for you to invest in each single relationship that you could potentially foster or cultivate on this tribe. So with that being said, it's going to be very difficult, obviously, to come to a consensus, to come to a decision. But that means there's likely more information being relayed, more information being leaked. How paranoid do you think everyone is? How chaotic do you think this tribal is going to be? Because now that you guys are on a trend, I'll say trend. I'm not gonna use the number 3 again, but how paranoid do you think, or how desperate people do you think are at this point to survive?
I think everyone wants to stay. We'll all have that fire to win the next challenge. Like we want to win and then send them to tribal. It's just, yeah, just figuring out what would be best for yourself and then for the tribe. Since we are on the tribes, we want to help ourselves, but also help everyone on the tribe so we could win and be immune the next challenge.
And speaking of immune, obviously the idol hunt is still undergoing right now. So when there's less places to maneuver, less number, how do I word this? With the fewer people on the tribe, like I mentioned earlier, that could be a positive, because having like 15 people to talk to, like in day 0, that's very overwhelming. You being able to spend time with each and every single person, it's much easier to do this junk here. But you can let a vote or 2 go away. You can let 1 or 2 votes, like not have to secure every single person in that large group of people. But here, 1 or 2 votes can be the difference between a majority to a plurality to a flip. So with that being said, if anybody has any type of security blanket, people may feel incentivized to use this. There's a big chance that I go home. There's less places to hide. So I asked Mac, knowing that Mac would not be able to attend this tribal council, if he thinks any advantages will come into play this round. And this is what Mac had to say about that. Potentially, from my point of view, this IELTS search is difficult for me, and I'd be jealous if someone was able to find something. This tribe is full of good players, so people will do whatever they can to stay one more round. And I think that's very well said. I think, well, you guys, I mentioned this earlier, the other team has not had to test themselves at this point. You guys have had to do not even 3 times, because 3 times 0 was still 0. But y'all technically have survived more rounds or attended more tribals than any of them have. At this point, there's going to be someone who, in the event that they do lose anytime soon or they become vulnerable at some point, they'll just now have to start off.
We get it, Jacob.
Okay, look, stop. I'm going somewhere.
We are losers.
I was trying to like be nice and say like, congrats on being able to get this far, even regardless.
You're taking too long. It's agonizing. We get it. It's a long, agonizing road. We are once again at tribal.
Y'all
Love
just
it.
okay. I got it. I don't see this often. I'm trying to milk the most content I possibly can out of the situation, Karen. Yeesh. But anyways, well, because since someone's very catty today, we'll just go right into the last end of the questions. Zach is not here yet. Zach is still doing that thing that you do in vehicles now. Raise your hand if you think you're on the right side of the votes. That's one hand. Everybody thinks they're in the majority. I mean, which definitely is technically possible, but I don't see Mac and Zach here, so I don't even know if they both believe that they are in the right side of the votes. Maybe Karen's cat's also on the right side of the votes. We don't know. Raise
Hold
your
on.
hand. Okay,
Twiggy moment. Twiggy moment.
Twiggy,
Just moment of silence.
Sticky,
Ah, look at him go. Look at him go.
Branchy. All right, raise your hand, and Twiggy can raise their hand as well if they feel motivated to do so. Raise your hand if you think you're getting votes tonight. Raise your hand if you think you're in danger, in somewhat peril. Maybe someone threw your name out. Hello. Okay, a couple hands have shot up. And last question, my favorite question. Raise your hand if you think you're going home tonight. 2 tribals. That was all I could do. Third time was not the charm for me. They sniped me out. All right. Well,
I mean,
guys.
if so-and-so was pitching my arm, so
Not bad. Well, unless Zach comes in like 2 minutes, there's nothing else I have to share. But I'm just giving you guys a couple more minutes to confirm your votes if you have not, or if you need to, vote. Please. Okay, one confirmation. Oh, I guess technically speaking, Zach's question was, do you confirm your vote? And Zach's answer is yes. Okay, but see, Zach had a question.
Shout out?
Zach wasn't neglected. Shout to Zach.
Shout outs. Is it shout out time?
Shout out time.
Okay, shout outs. Shout out to obviously the one, the only Marcelo, the king himself. If Marcelo's getting a shout out, then anyone who Marcelo would give a shout out gets a shout out. Top of the list, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter. Again, anyone else Marcelo would give a shout out. Queen, my princess, Vicky, obviously needs a shout out. Shout out to my prod guests. You know who you are. Shout out to Twiggy. She's adorable. Shout out to anyone who needs a shout out, you know?
Shout out Michael Hearn, my prod guest. Love him very much. Shout out Corey and CTC rooting for you, King. I'm his prod guest. Shout out this tribe. I mean, Luzon and Matsine are iconic. What are the other tribe names? Who knows? Who cares? All of us on All Stars, period. Shout out that handmade pizza I got for free at that one bar because I asked really nicely. That was like the highlight of my night. Shout out to that. They had like this drink and it had like, it looked like glue, like they had sparkles in it. And so I got like 2 of those. It was really cool. It was like dragon something. But yeah.
okay, I guess like shout out to Maggie. Shout out to Jen Rudolph. Shout out to the Inferno prod, like Topher, love you, boy. I love you, dude.
And Minor, do you have any
Also,
shout
shout
outs?
out to the Cutthroat prod, and shout out to Cutthroat because that's the season. Because that's the game I'm following.
Minor, any shout outs? No?
Shout out to my child, Vicky. Love you.
Okay, well then, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, if anybody has an idol or an advantage that they would like to play, now is the time to do so. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got you. All right, let's read the votes. First vote. First vote. What the? There it is. There it is. There's the first vote. Mac. It's 1 vote, Mac. Second vote. Minor. 1 vote, Mac. 1 vote, Minor. Third vote. Okay. Minor. Next vote. What the hell is everyone up with these horizontal? vertical. Mac. That's 2 votes minor, 2 votes Mac. Next vote. Mac. That's 3 votes Mac, 2 votes minor, 1 vote left. Third person voted off of Spellbound Survivor. Mac. That's 4 votes. That's enough. I'm going to add Mac in their host chat so they can leave any final words if they still have it. We'll send it to the Sahir host chat. Sahir host chat, the Sahir tribe chat. But with that being said,
He can say his goodbyes in the chat. Like,
yeah,
he's not
yeah.
here.
So, or I'll send it on his behalf. But regardless, guys have survived. You're third. That's to sprinkle it at the end. You guys survived 3. Good job. We're gonna come out with the announcements for the challenge very shortly. I wish you guys all the best of luck.